Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy JT, and we're going to continue on with these nodes in DaVinci Resolve. But in today's video, we're going to talk to you about the parallel node. In the last video, what we talked about were the serial nodes, being able to make some of your basic primary and secondary corrections, right? That's what you use those serial nodes for the most part. Now, you can do whatever you want to do with them, but there are some other nodes that will help you to kind of, give you some added advantage, kind of some shortcuts to do a lot of other things, and help you to stay a little more organized. One of the things that I told you is that I don't really like to have a lot of corrections just all on one node, because sometimes you may want to make some changes, some individual very specific changes, or your client may want you to make some individual and very specific changes. And if you've got to go and put one node and you've got to make all of or figure out where those changes are, it kind of stops you from being able to be efficient. It definitely stops you from being able to be organized. I mean, like right now, in this particular clip, I've got all of these different things on here that I've done individually, and so I don't have to look around for what I want to do. If I did, imagine me doing every last one of these corrections on one node. You can do it. But you being able to go in and say, okay, you know what? Let me see how this will look without this exposure. And you go in and you see. So you can see here that just me turning off the exposure node, and it's just a serial node. This is where I made my exposure corrections, But just me freezing that and turning it off, it allows you to see what I actually did in terms of exposure. So let me come over here. Let me change that from my parade to my waveform. So this is what it was before, and this is how everything changed up after. Same thing with my color balance. You see here, there's a hint of a few different colors that when I turn this color balance off, you can see. And then you can begin to see where the color was balanced even better. Now we'll come over to my saturation node. Okay, once again, you can see the difference, even here in my contrast node. Now watch this, here's a test time. What did we do if we wanted to hide a node or turn it on and off? What was the command? It's Command D. Bam, bam. All right. Now, here's that look. We just turned it off with Command D. Okay. So we went in and balanced. We kind of got our saturation levels for the entire image underway in those first primary nodes. And now here's our secondary. We didn't really do anything in our secondary corrections. All we did was just kind of set something up. So now, this is what we're getting ready to do. I'm going to delete these. I think these were just, those were just serial nodes. So now we're going to say we've done all of our primary corrections. That means our white balance. We've got our saturation. We did some exposure adjustments. We also did some color balancing. We adjusted the contrast and the detail. That was just kind of getting our image looking the way we want it to look from what we saw in camera. All right, now these are again some more things that were just part of the template setup that I have for my base grade for all of my Blackmagic footage. So depends on what I'm going to do. I've got a color space transform here and there, but we're not getting ready to go into that. I'm just wanting to show you what the parallel node is. Okay, so everything we've done up until this point, it's all been on serial node corrections. All right, now I'm looking at this particular clip. What I want to do is I want to make multiple changes under one node, but I want to keep those changes independent as far as how they appear here on screen. Okay, like for example, let's find a spot in here where we've got a couple different things we can change. All right, you know what? I like this change right here. Okay, so you can see she's got on, this is an orange dress. We've got somebody over here with some green. We've got somebody over here with some pink, right? I want to make changes to this one little section of this clip. So now, what I'm going to do is, you can do it a couple different ways. We can go right click, add node. You can go add parallel node, or look at what the shortcut also says. It's Option or Alt P. Okay, that's how you would do a parallel node. Now, with the serial node, whenever you make a correction, it's right there in that node, right? And the next node that you have, it'll be like all of the corrections you make in that serial node are going to go into that very next node that it's connected to, okay? Now, with this parallel node, we're going to make changes, okay? We're going to make equal changes, okay? And then it's going to dump everything off into this one parallel node that's going to pass all of the information from that parallel node into the next serial node, okay? That's the one that I call my resultant node. So I don't want to confuse you, so I'm going to do this step by step. For me, I'm going to delete that node because a lot of times you don't have that node, especially if you don't have any parallel node or layer mixers. So what we're going to do is this. This is just my base grade, all right? I've gone in, I've done all my primary connections, okay? Now, I have what I'm calling subject. I'm going to put an S on the end since we're getting ready to modify a few different people, all right? Okay, subjects. All right, now, I'm going to go Option P, or you can use the right mouse button on here and go add parallel. But the Option key is a shortcut. So you see how right now it added this node right here, right? That means that all of the changes that we make are going to be poured into this one node. And then when this node connects to the next serial node, those changes are all going to go into whatever node is connected to it, okay? So now watch this, stay with me. I'm gonna name this orange dress, okay? Now, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna click back on my subject. We're gonna add another parallel node. Now, I want you to notice something, okay? All of these are feeding into this parallel node here, okay? So it's the deal is we're gonna take a sample from this original subject, and every change we make on this one is gonna feed into here. Every change you make on this one is gonna feed into here. That's it. Okay, now just the same way that we did, let's do one more. Click here, Option P. We're gonna change that. Okay, I don't even know what else we can use to make a change on it, but this is what we're gonna do. Actually, you know what? That's too many. And that's too many. We're not gonna make this overly complex. But let's do this. So we're gonna take the orange from this main subject, and we're gonna take the pink from this main subject. We're going to feed that new color information into this node, and whatever node is on the other side of this node right here is where the result is going to be. This is the reason why I call it my resultant node, okay? So now I'm going to go Option S to just add that, and I'm going to change the name of it to resultant. All right, now, and then that way we can continue the progress of taking the information from everything on this side to go into here. Now, if we can come over here and we can make a change here is going to impact everything that feeds down into this subject node, okay? Now, we're just going to come over here. I'm going to pull a key, all right? And we want the orange dress, okay? When I click on that dress, you see, you can't see any of the change, but the changes did actually happen. You see, watch this. If I click on the pink, watch what happens down here in my qualifier section. If I click on the pink, it's going to select the pink area. If I click on this green, it's going to select the green area. This is what we call pulling a key. I want to pull a key on this dress right now, which means I want to isolate this dress to be able to make changes to only this dress. All right, now, how can I see that, JT? You see this button right up here? This is what's going to turn my highlight on. All right, now, let me come back. I'm going to click here so I can be able to see what I'm clicking on. All right, now, when I come here, let me turn my highlight off so I can see what I'm clicking on. I'm going to click right here. Okay, now I'm going to turn that highlight on. All right, now you can see what I've actually selected. So let me tell you something real quick, because this was always confusing to me at first. You know, again, like I said, I don't want you to just follow these directions and try to mimic what you see me do. I want you to get an understanding. I want you to grab these foundational principles of all of this stuff. So watch this. Let me pull this down right here. You see the reason why everything's disappeared, because I'm on a whole nother node and I haven't selected anything. Okay, but now when I click back on here, it's going to show you what I actually selected. So these changes I make are all parallel from this subject. That means they're all taking samples from that one subject in a line, like layers. We haven't done anything to any one of these other ones, so that's the reason why you don't see any changes. But as soon as I click on this orange dress, you can see where I actually have selected something. So I've got my eyedropper tool right here, and I'm going to click here. Okay, I'm going to try to find where I have the most concentrated area of that orange so I can begin to really manipulate it and take control of my actual key. Because the idea is to only select the part that I want, and I only want the orange that's on this dress. If there's orange somewhere else, I don't want it. I just want what's on this dress. Okay, so either I'm going to select that here, or I'll end up putting a window around it so I can make sure that nothing outside of that window is selected unless it meets the characteristics of this dress. I hope that I'm explaining that to you. I'm going to explain it to you in the best way that I can. So now, let's come over here to hue. You know, hue is going to be the amount of that color that you're actually selecting. Okay, so we've got an orange hue, but if you look at it, so get ready to explain these controls to you. So, or the main parts of those controls to you. So if you look at this, you can see that it has this yellow part selected, right? Now, if I open it out, it's going to begin to include selecting parts that are more than just the orange, but are on both sides. So watch this. When I begin to adjust the width, it's going to begin to expand that to include more orange, more yellow, and then it's going to kind of start going over towards the reds. We may not want all of that, but watch this. If I decrease that, you'll see that you begin to not get as much of it. You see that? You begin to lose some of it. But the more that you can expand out, okay, so we want to select that orange dress. You can see that? Can you see that? Okay, stay with me. We're going somewhere with this. Okay. And I think I'm pulling a pretty good doggone key. I don't really see a whole lot of other orange or green or yellow in there. So that means I'll be selecting a lot of this dress. You know, we also kind of want to rule out some of the skin and everything, because we just want to be able to control that dress. Because if we have some of the skin selected, and let's say we want to change the color of this dress from orange to blue, we're going to be changing that arm to blue as well. So that's what pulling the key really means. You're trying to get whatever it is that's part of this clip. You want to get that selected. So pulling the key is like getting a selection. Now, let's say we have some more color area that we would like to do. You see this center, it's at 36.3. Let's remember that. So let's say instead of selecting those part of the orange part of the hue, then we want to select some others. I can either put my mouse right here and grab that hand and start coming over here, but you see there's nothing green for us to choose. Same thing over here. There's nothing. Well, here's pink, but we're not trying to select that. But you look at that. Look at that. So we can begin to do that as well. We'll get that entire, pink outfit for right there. But let's go back over here. Okay, this is where we live. This is where we live right now. We're at 36.3. Now, you can begin to you can be able to increase the amount of softness of that key, so that way, it'll be more of a transition as opposed to a hard line edge of your selection. So you can do that. Okay. What is it? 4.3? Let's just do all of that. Okay, just straight out. So you see how hard it is now? That means that the image won't really blend into the background anymore because you have this hard edge. It kind of look like an outline or a glow. So we're going to bring that all the way back. We'll bring it all the way back. Okay, now let's put it was like at 4 something. And then also you can look here and you can see how it's actually going out as well. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm gonna click on here. We're gonna reselect once again. And watch this. Let's say I want to just only select her arm. You see that? You can look at how many different colors it's trying to include in there, but we don't want all of that if we're selecting her arm. So yeah, there you go. We're isolating. So you see how we've kind of taken out some of that dress, and you just kind of gotta play with these. And once you begin to play with it, you'll see how you can start eliminating the things that you don't want. Then you put a window around that, and you go in your motion tracker and track it, so that way, no matter where that arm is moving, you always have it selected. Because if you want to, change, we'll say the shade, the hue, or the contrast, or whatever you want to change on it, it'll follow your track. So stay with me. Okay, let's come back here. I'm going to come back and select that orange dress again. I want to get as much of it as possible before I lose other stuff. Okay, here we go. So now, every time you do that, it's going to reset your selection. So now we've got a good bit, even inside the creases and folds of the dress. All right, now for saturation, let's see. We're going to just move this. All right, bam, look at that. Arms, hands, all that gone, right? So you gotta kind of finesse. You gotta kind of finesse it. Alright. This is how you get that key. Now look at what parameters are changing as you're moving this around, because that'll also help you to begin to understand how you can dial in your key selection. Alright. I'm digging it. Okay, so there'll be some more cleanup that we can do. This is a good key. All right. Now the luminance, that's pretty much your light and dark values of that actual color. Okay. So let's see. We'll make it extreme. Then we'll start pulling it back. It's going to begin to introduce the information from the key back in. Okay. Look at that. You see how you can really go in and fine tune that deal? And that's it. That's a good key. Right. That's a good key. Now, let's go here. We're getting ready to key out this pink dress back here. So now, same deal. We're going to finesse it. Let's select that. All right. Okay, you can look and see. So you see how it's including the orange? We don't want that orange. So let's use our width and begin to decrease that width. We don't want to include the orange. So now we can come over here. We see it's more pink than anything. See, this is too far. We begin to lose it. And now we're just about there. Yeah, that's it right there. Now, same deal. We can begin to, we want to lose out as much as possible. Look at that. We've almost just isolated that only. Let's look real quick. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, that's it. Okay, let's see here. All right, so good key. Now let's go back to this node right here again. You can see we've got some other areas in there, and some of these is you'll be if we were to put a window around this, we could go in and increase some other values, and we wouldn't pick up any more of any other parts. We could get this in total. We can get this entire orange, but that also could take a long time. So we're gonna do some other things over here though. Let's go ahead and adjust some of our clean black. Okay, our blur radius. That's gonna help us to be able to have a natural flow of that. that orange. We go to the second one. We'll come over here to our denoise. Okay, now let's do the same thing for this one. Okay, we got our denoise over here. Let's come over here for just our clean blacks. Okay. Like I said, the idea is to begin to get it all by itself. All right, so now come here, and bam. Let's turn the highlight off. So, all right, so now, see how we're gonna select the one with the orange, okay? We're gonna come over here, go back into our color wheels. All right, I'm getting ready to deal with little colors. I'm gonna put my parade scope on. Now, we're selected the parallel node of this particular clip. This is the subject right here. These are just two parallel corrections that are going to feed into this node. That's going to give us our result in this node right here. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is let's change this orange. So we can do that by just coming in and adjusting our hue. What color y'all want? What color you want? All right. You see how that works? And again, like I said, you can see here where we kind of just stop. You can really, you can go in and perfect that key as much as you want. And like I said, just for the sake of time, we'll cross that bridge at another time. But let's do this, okay? What was that original? All right, now let's come in. We're gonna change that pink to something else. So now, that's what we're going to do. Let me turn my highlight back on. I'm going to come over here. We're going to use the pen tool. All right. Now remember what I said, you can use these power windows and it will absolutely isolate just what you have selected, and everything else got to go. So when you want to make your selection, then you want to keep that selection no matter whether your subject moves or not. This is where you would go. Okay, same thing. We're going to use the pen tool to isolate this one as well. So now anything that would have been impacted by the the pen tool on there, it'll be out of there now. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So what frame is this? Let me come here and mark this frame off real quick. Not mark it off. Yeah, I'm gonna mark it right there at that point so we can get back to it. Yeah, that's it. You see that? So we were at the frame when we made the change. We didn't track it. You guys want to track it? We're going to spend a little bit more time on it. I want to make this kind of quick because the actual, the concept is simple. So I'll tell you what, let's do this because it is a short enough track. This is what we'll do. Right here I have this. I'm going to come over here to the tracker window. I'm going to turn off 3D. I'm going to turn off rotate. I'm going to track from beginning to end. It's backwards and forwards. All right. So we don't have the other part selected. So watch this. Since we're at the very beginning, you can click on frame. This is kind of going, above, beyond, or whatever. But tell you what. I'm just holding shift and selecting right there. Okay. Move this. Now, the only thing about this, since we're on frame, that means that every time we go over a frame, we're going to have to make an adjustment. If we have to make an adjustment, okay? We kind of keep watching it. Right now, we're tracking, right? And I hadn't shown you this yet, but we'll get there. Because we saw that there was a point where her dress didn't quite hold on to the rest of. There we go. Keep on moving. All right, we keep on going. See how that key and those adjustments we've made, they're going to be contained within the selection of the dress. That's it. So this is rough, but it's also showing, okay? So she's moving. I'm doing a shift and I'm dragging this window. And this is, again, I just want to show you how the changes that we made are going to stay with this dress. Okay. See how the dress is one color, but once we get it enclosed into the power window, then it's going to remain with the other corrections. Let's move this out. Yeah, that's it. So now, this is going to work all the way through, just so you guys know, but having to do it frame by frame. So what does this tell you? And this is kind of a quiz as well. We could have picked a better what? What could we have picked better? While I do this real quick. We could have picked a better hero shot. So if we would have picked a hero shot that would have fully included all of the dress, then we wouldn't have to worry about doing this, because we would have picked one where the dress would have always been included within the actual window. But we're not going to go backwards and redo it all. Okay, there we go. So now watch this. We basically just walked that frame. We adjusted this for every frame. Watch this. See that? You see? And I mean, that's kind of like old school tracking since before all the big time trackers and everything. So, bam, look at that. And it's going to follow her. So that is some extra, so I guess we'll call that some bonus. We just did tracking both automated and manual. All right. So now, do we want to do the same thing with the other dress? I mean, I guess so. We don't want her dress to change like the Flash. So we'll come down here. We're right there at the very beginning. See, she doesn't even appear just yet. Let me see. She begins to appear right there. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So she begins to appear right there. Tell you what, I'm going to take this one off, but then on here, we're going to say, let's just include all of her dress. Okay. Now we're going to come over here to our motion tracker, and we're going to say, come back to the beginning. Okay, now she doesn't appear yet. Frame, and now she appears. So we got her in there. Frame, she's still appearing. Frame. All right, let's keep that pink off of there. That's what we want to do. Frame. You can even still see where we kind of shortcutted on our mask on the orange dress, but that's fine. It's just for practice. See how her dress is going to stay that color as long as it's within this window. These power windows are powerful. I can't stress it enough. And you use it over and over all day long. All right. So now watch this. So we literally have gone in and we've changed the color of both of those dresses. Watch this. Well, you know what? Wait a minute. what we know from keyframe, we could also animate that, right? All right, so let's do this. We're going to right here on clip. Oh, it'll stay with us. Okay. All right, now we can go in. We can change that to frames. The last time we didn't have frame selected, so that's the reason why we had that issue. Okay, now she's going. All right, it's going to make these changes for every frame. As long as we keep her within that window, that change will be adjusted. All right. Look, I remember when I was first starting, all this stuff was so confused. I'm so glad to be able to get this to you guys. Look at that. Bloop, not anymore. So, and this is just like keyframing. That's all this is. We're moving this power window with each and every frame. You see these little keyframes that are popping up right here? Every time we make an adjustment, it's going to show us what we've done. That's it. So now let's come back over here. Look at that. Now we already know that they had on different color dresses because we changed them, right? Right. We changed them. Look at that. That's it. Hey, like I said, this thing is powerful. Powerful. Well, in a nutshell, that's the parallel node. So in a nutshell, that is how you can use the parallel node in DaVinci Resolve. You can use it to make multiple individual, separate, but parallel changes within that one node or that one clip. You can pick and choose where you want to do it or what clips you actually want to apply it to. And that actually is it. Remember, you can either do a right click and go to add node and go add parallel node, or you can just go option and P. Remember to select your initial subject and then create a parallel node to that subject and another parallel node to that subject. You can make as many of those as you want. And in the next video, we're going to go into how to do the layer mixer node. Similar, but it gives you even more flexibility to be able to make some individual incremental changes because we'll be mixing. So, guys, look, if this video has brought any added value to you and your content creation, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, I want to welcome you to the community. We're growing. I get really excited when I look in the YouTube studio and I'll see you got a new follower. And so the community is growing. If you've got any questions, please drop it below in the comments. That way I can get a notification to see that, hey, somebody needs to get a little assistance and I'll come through. So guys, I enjoyed doing this video for you. I'm excited about going through some of these other nodes and showing you some more ways that you can get a foundation in how to be more creative in the way that you see it. Not me, not my way, but the way that you see it. So tell you what, we're going to see you in the next one.